everyone, and welcome back to Joys of Flies. If you're new here, my name's Cassidy and I deal with the sewing side of this channel. So it is an absolutely miserable day today, so I thought why not do a sewing project, fit the vibe of the weather. So today I'm going to be doing something for autumn, and I've been seeing these quilted jackets everywhere, like for the past couple of years actually, and I really wanted to make one because they look so cozy, and I thought patchwork quilting is the perfect thing to use up all my scraps. So that is what I'm going to try and achieve today, or actually probably over the next couple of days, because knowing me, I'm going to take a while doing this, so next couple of days. Now, the only thing that I'm going to do that is, say, a little bit risky is I am going to be completely going from scratch myself. I feel like for the past year, I've only made my own patterns. I've not used somebody else's patterns in probably a year or a bit more. So I kind of just like doing my own patterns. So for the jacket, I'm going to be making the pattern myself, but also I have never quilted before in my life. So that will be the interesting part. I basically binge watched over the last couple of days quite a few like simple tutorials for like beginner quilting and stuff, but I'm going to go completely off my own on that, so that will be interesting to see how that works out. So here are all of the fabrics I've picked out. As you can see, I've gone for quite like a blue theme. My favorite one is this teddy bear fabric. I want like the teddy bear squares to be the central point in it, and I have actually done like a rough sketch. Let me show it to you. So here's the sketch I did. It's, as you can see, it's very repetitive of like the same thing, just constantly to make up the fabrication for the pattern, and hopefully I can transfer this to fabric. I'm not quite sure, and I don't exactly know how to quilt it, but we'll figure that out as we go along. So to start off with, I'm going to make the pattern for the jacket itself and do a couple of prototypes probably. But yeah, that's going to take me a while, and it's quite boring actually to watch, so I'm going to skip through that, and I will see you once I finish the prototype and it's all good. So here's the prototype all done. I'm very happy with the pattern. This is actually the second prototype, and I've gone for, like, as you can tell, more of like a loose chill jacket vibe rather than a coat. I'm happy with all of it, so now I think I can start concentrating on the quilting side of things and start to figure that out. So I sewed my little tester square and I didn't like it. This happens quite often actually. I get a vision in my head and it doesn't always work out on the fabric itself. I think that I still like the design, but I think the fabric isn't right. I think it needs a plainer, subtler fabric. But one thing I was surprised about is the maths was all correct.
Sometimes I stagger even myself with my genius.
So I can definitely save that pattern for later and perhaps use it with a plainer fabric. But now I'm going to try something, a completely different design. I'm going to have a think and we'll try something else. Whilst I was thinking about it though, I decided to sew the lining, which was really simple. So I finished sewing the lining. Apart from on the like almost lapels here, I need to add a bit of quilting so that it matches the front, so when it's folded open like this you still see quilting and not the lining. And now I can start getting going with the actual quilted part because I've now got an idea. So as you can tell, time has gone by and it is considerably messier in this craft yet, but I have basically done the back panel and the collar in the quilting that I now like. So I'd recently seen on Instagram this technique called continuous quilting, I'm pretty sure it's called, but it's basically when you quilt directly on your batting or the in-between cushioned piece or whatever it's properly meant to be called, and then you just continue quilting the entire thing straight onto it. But I actually like it a lot more. It is completely different to my original plan because it's not a repetitive design in the slightest. Like, I actually think it works better. So let me show you what I've been up to. So I cut my pattern out of my batting, and then I cut a square of fabric, whatever size I wanted it, and placed it directly on the batting wherever I wanted it. And then I quilted it directly on, and I just sewed straight lines, and for each piece I changed how wide apart they were. And then when I wanted to add the next piece, I added a square, once again whatever size I wanted it, and placed it right sides together on the already quilted piece and sewed it together. just like you normally would in sewing, and then I ironed it open and then quilted that piece to the batting, and I just continued that until I covered the entire pattern piece. Once I'd done every single piece, I also backed the collar with just a plain fabric, and I also did like faux quilting on the lapels of the lining. And then it was time to move on to the simple part, which was just piecing all the pattern pieces together. As you can see, progress has been made, and I've only actually got a couple of steps left to do. With everything sewn together, including the lining on it, the only thing I was thinking of adding is around the sleeves and the bottom hem to add like a little bit of bias tape. Originally, I didn't want to do any bias tape because the fabric that I had wanted to use for bias tape is this dark blue corduroy, and I didn't end up having enough. In fact, this is the only amount I have left of it, so literally nothing at all, but I could probably make enough to do around the sleeves. Might not go to plan, but that is literally then, if I do that, then that is the last steps to do. I managed to do the sort of cuffs on the sleeves, and they worked really well, but unfortunately I didn't have enough of that blue to do along the bottom, so instead I used another fabric and did a sort of hem facing at the bottom of the jacket. That's it, I finally finished the quilted jacket, and I have to say I think it is probably the comfiest thing I have ever made. So I hope this video gave you a bit of inspiration on some sewing projects you can do this autumn, and I will see you next time on the channel.